Welcome! Today we're diving into a practical and proven approach to school improvement, the 90-day plan. These bite-sized cycles help us stay focused, create urgency, and actually see progress in real time. This session is all about making change manageable. Long-range goals are important, but without short-term wins, they often lose momentum. That's where 90-day cycles come in. They help us break big priorities into focused, actionable steps that drive visible progress. Whether you're new to 90-day planning or looking to strengthen your current process, this session will give you tools to create plans that are focused, measurable, and embedded in your day-to-day work. We'll also connect this work to the leadership mindset outlined in 100 Day Leaders by Douglas Reeves and Robert Eaker, which emphasizes urgency, clarity, and shared ownership. We're not just setting goals, we're building systems to track them and ensure they drive real change. So why 90 days? Because it hits the sweet spot. Short enough to create urgency, but long enough to see real results. A 90-day window aligns naturally with the school quarter, making it familiar and manageable for teams. It also gives you the opportunity to respond in real time. Instead of setting goals in August and checking in May, you're building in fast feedback loops, checking progress regularly and adjusting as needed. This structure helps turn those big, ambitious improvement goals into concrete time-bound actions. It builds a rhythm of planning, doing, reflecting, and adjusting, a cycle that keeps momentum going and builds trust in the process. In short, 90-day planning makes school improvement feel achievable, and that feeling of progress and possibility is what moves schools forward. In 100 Day Leaders, Reeves and Eaker emphasize mindset as much as mechanics. This shift is about urgency without panic. It's the belief that meaningful change can happen in 90 to 100 days, not by chasing perfection, but by anchoring people in a clear, focused direction. A 100-day leader doesn't wait for change. They lead through focused, intentional action. Instead of getting stuck in long-range planning that never gains traction, 100-day leaders break the work into short, high-impact cycles. They prioritize clarity, action, and early wins that build trust and momentum across the team. This shift is essential for creating a culture of progress. Strong 90-day plans have a few essential features that set them apart from typical improvement plans. First, the goals are laser-focused and directly tied to school or district priorities. This isn't a catch-all plan. It targets the highest leverage areas that will move student outcomes. Second, the outcomes are measurable. Vague goals like improve instruction just won't cut it. Instead, we ask, how will we know if it's working? What will we see, hear, or measure differently? Third, the plan includes concrete actions, not just ideas or strategies, but clearly defined steps with specific owners and timelines. It should be obvious who is responsible for what. Finally, progress monitoring is built in from the start. Whether through data reviews, walkthroughs, or team meetings, you need a system to track and reflect. A plan only works if it's a living tool, not a static document. The 100-Day Leaders model reminds us that successful leaders create urgency and score early wins. These 90-day cycles are how we get there. They make improvement feel achievable and build a culture of follow-through. In 100-Day Leaders, the authors Reeves and Eaker stress that short-term wins are essential for building momentum, credibility, and belief in the change effort. This echoes Kotter's change theory, particularly the idea that visible wins build trust and energy. But the key is intentional monitoring. If you don't know what progress looks like or aren't checking along the way, the opportunity for momentum is lost. Leaders who use 90-day planning well are constantly adjusting and using results from the monitoring process to inform next steps and engage others. 90-day planning isn't just a strategy. It's a culture shaping tool. When teams experience real progress in a short window, it builds collective efficacy, the belief that we can make a difference. These plans also promote distributed leadership by creating space for more people to take ownership. When action steps are shared and monitored across roles, teachers, coaches, leaders, it deepens engagement. And most importantly, 90-day cycles normalize the practice of using feedback to improve. They send the message that adjusting course is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of responsiveness. Over time, this builds a culture where action, reflection, and iteration are part of how the team works, not something extra. Take a moment to think about how you're currently using your improvement plans. Are they living documents that inspire urgency and action? Are your teams feeling ownership? And are the goals meaningful to student outcomes? Honest reflection is the first step toward meaningful improvement. Every effective 90-day plan has 3 essential parts: a focused goal, a measurable outcome, and a clear set of action steps. Let's break that down. The goal should be directly tied to a school or district priority. It's not just what you want to fix, but what matters most for student outcomes. The outcome must be specific and measurable. This isn't just about saying, do better. It's about knowing what success looks like and how you'll recognize it. And the actions are the steps you'll need to take to get there. Each one needs an owner and a timeline. These aren't vague ideas, they're commitments. The final, often overlooked piece is progress monitoring. A plan should include how and when you'll check in, through walkthroughs, PLC discussions, data reviews, whatever fits your structure. When these elements are in place, the plan becomes a living part of your daily work, not a document on a shelf. It's how teams stay focused, build momentum, and adapt as they go. One of the most effective ways to strengthen a 90-day plan is to broaden the voices involved in shaping it. When teachers help create the goals and action steps, they're more likely to feel ownership, and that leads to deeper engagement and follow-through. You can also bring in student voice. Students can offer valuable feedback on whether the changes we're making are actually improving their experience. Even something as simple as a student survey or focus group can provide powerful insights. And don't forget the why. Too often, we launch initiatives without clearly explaining the purpose. Making the rationale behind each goal transparent helps everyone see how their work connects to a bigger picture, and it builds commitment. Bottom line, when people feel heard, they invest more. Plans become more than mandates. They become shared commitments. This is an example of a strong 90-day plan goal that moves beyond vague language like improve instruction. Instead, it targets a specific element of Tier 1 instruction, academic discourse, and focuses on grades 3 to 5 to keep the scope manageable. The outcome is clear and measurable. We're aiming for 85% of observed lessons to include structured, student-to-student discussions using academic language and sentence stems. This gives us something to track through weekly walkthroughs. Notice how each action step is purposeful and time-bound. We start by building teacher capacity through PD. Then we provide a concrete classroom support, anchor charts. Walkthroughs are used not just for observation, but for real-time feedback. PLCs become spaces to look at patterns and adjust instruction. And finally, we make success visible by spotlighting strong practice. This plan promotes clarity, ownership, and accountability while embedding the work into existing structures like PLCs and walkthroughs. It's not an extra initiative. It's a focused improvement effort aligned to your instructional priorities. Many 90-day plans fail not because the idea is flawed, but because of how they're built or implemented. Here are some of the most common traps. First, too many priorities. If everything is urgent, nothing gets the focus it deserves. 90-day planning works because it narrows our aim so we can actually hit the target. Next, we see vague outcomes like improve instruction without defining what success looks like. If you can't measure it, you can't celebrate it or fix it. A third pitfall is goals that feel disconnected from the student experience. The work must tie directly to what students feel, see, and do. Otherwise, it's adult-centered instead of student-driven. Then comes a major leadership misstep. No one feels responsible. When ownership is missing, energy fades and nothing moves. Another issue? No monitoring system. Without regular checks, through walkthroughs, data reviews, or huddles, you won't catch problems early enough to adjust. And even when plans are active, sometimes teams go through the motions without clarity. It becomes compliance over commitment, and that shows up in stagnant results. Finally, the classic, plans that live in a binder. If your 90-day plan isn't embedded in your team's weekly rhythm, it's a missed opportunity. These pitfalls are avoidable when we apply a 100-day leader mindset. The biggest takeaway? A strong 90-day plan is more than a document. It's a roadmap with people, actions, and checkpoints built right in. It creates movement, and more importantly, it builds belief. The success of your 90-day plan hinges on how it's led, not just how it's written. Leadership must be visible and consistent. Use the plan in weekly check-ins with staff. Don't let it collect dust. Ask, what progress did we make this week? What got in our way? Celebrate small wins publicly to build momentum and show that progress is possible. If something isn't working, adjust in real time. Don't wait for day 90. This is about modeling urgency, responsiveness, and accountability. Leaders set the tone. If you treat the plan like a living document, others will too. This quote from Reeves and Eaker reminds us that leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating the right conditions. Conditions where teams can think clearly, take meaningful action, and build sustained momentum. That's what a 90-day plan offers. It gives teams focus. It turns goals into measurable steps, and it keeps everyone moving in the same direction. It makes improvement feel doable, and in doing so, it builds confidence. Ultimately, your job as a leader is not just to set direction. It's to create a structure where people can succeed. And every 90-day cycle is an opportunity to do exactly that. Build clarity, build momentum, and build belief. So as you leave today, think about how you'll lead your next cycle. Not just with strategy, but with intention, visibility, and trust in your team. That's how change takes hold. Thank you for engaging in this session on 90-day planning. If you would like individualized support, have questions about implementation, or want to dive deeper into how this ties into your school or district goals, the Turnaround Office is just a call or email away. These plans don't have to live in isolation. Let us help you turn them into impact.